Okay, this next section is about grinding the taps. You can, by changing your cam, grind the 2, 4, 6, and 8 flute taps, and on the 250 and 380, and some of the 3 flute as well. You use the number 4 cam for the 2 flute, number 8 for 4 flute, 10 for 6 flute, and 16 for the 8 flute, and that's the right hand, and also the complementary left hand cams too for these. Now in this case I'm going to grind the lead on a 4 flute tap. So I use a number 8 cam for right hand, set the latch in the right hand slot, set the tap in as close to the chuck as you can, and then set the lip right on top of the setting blade. Pull the blade back. Now the angle that you want to set these at is determined on whether you have a taper or a plug or a bottom. Now these angles are not too standard. They depend a bit on the type of the size of the tap and the pitch of the thread and all. But roughly a taper tap would be setting on the right, again on the right hand side of our scale, would be 152 degrees for taper, and you would set your cam relief at about 16. For the plug tap would be set at 145 degrees with approximately a setting of around 12 or 14 on the scale, the clearance relief. And then to do the plug lead, you would set your cam relief at about 0 to 4, somewhere in that range. You'd use variable relief for those, and set your angle over at 120 degrees. Now these vary quite a bit, and for special applications you may want to go in between, so you're going to have to go in between on the angles as well as the cam relief to see what works the best. But I have this up to grind a plug lead right now, so I'll turn it on. Now, these are all ground on the side face of the wheel. So as you bring it in, you're going to bring in the cross feed in. Once you ground enough off, just let it spark out. And when you do the various taps, it's best to move your wheel back and forth. Don't keep grinding them all in the same place. After you have the lead ground, then you can swing the workhead over. Swing it over so the pin drops in the hole in the center. That locks it in straight. Take the cam off. Spin the face down. If you have a lot to take off, say if a tap is chipped, a lot of times it'll be chipped in the first full tooth, it's best to first cut the taps off, or at least rough grind them back before you start. Otherwise you'll be grinding and grinding this way. And it's important to get it perfectly flat so that all your teeth are going to be the same height when they engage in the hole. Otherwise you can end up one lip high and it's going to chip or break the tap. The 3 flute taps on the 250A and the 380 are ground a little differently. In this case you use the number 10 cam for the right hand 3 flute. Again, latch in the right hand slot, set up here at 145 degrees. Load the tap in. Set the lip of the tap. On some of these 3 flute taps, it's very similar to a 3 flute cord drill or 3 flute countersink with this model. is you'll end up getting a high heel coming back up. That's because the cam is actually going in and out 6 times, and it may not be camming all the way around before it comes off the cam. So then what you'd have to do is, if you do have this high heel condition, would be to index around to number 4, 8, and 12 slots to grind the secondary on the heel. So I'll put it in number 4 slot. Grind the heel back on 1. And then the 3rd flute. And that will clear the heel so that you have enough clearance on the drill, the tap. This is the operation of grinding the 3 flute taps on the Model 252. For grinding the 3 flute taps, use the number 24 cam. Now the same operation will be used for the 5 and the 7 flute taps. Use the different cams, it'll be the number 26 cam or number 28 cam with the 5 or 7 flute, and we also have the cams for the left hand. You simply set the lip of the tool on the setting blade, pull back, you're in the right hand slot. As far as the clearance on these taps, you would set it at about 16 or 17 for taper lead, and for a plug lead about 12, and for bottom lead about 4. The angles you set the workhead at would be 152 for a taper lead, 145 for a plug, and 120 for a bottom tap. So now the tool is set. Let's bring the grinding wheel in. Ground it off, just let it spark out. And if need be, when you're done, you can also face the taps and swing the head around so it's straight onto the grinding wheel, and then would take the cam off and spin it and face across the end of the tap.